Cooking is less scary when recipes are simple, so let me show you how to make an easy pasta dish you can eat for days. Alright, you're gonna need some pasta, some tuna, some spinach, salt, black pepper, garlic powder, crushed pepper if you like spicy, some butter, an onion, marinara sauce, some cheese, and some heavy cream. As far as tools, you're gonna need a cutting board, a knife, a wooden spoon if you have one. If not, you can use a metal spatula or a big spoon, a strainer, and a big bowl. First, grab your pot and turn on your stove to medium to high heat. You're gonna add some water. I forgot to film this, but we're gonna heavily salt the water, maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons of salt. The pasta box will tell you exactly how much water to add. Then cover it and let it come to a boil. In the meantime, we're gonna clean and prep the other ingredients. I'm starting with the spinach. Give it a good rinse because these things are dirty. Like, look at this water. Ugh, disgusting. Now they're all clean. We're gonna cut the spinach out. I know this is a lot, but spinach kind of disappears in the food when you're cooking it, and I have this plastic bag to put the trash away as I'm doing this because I like to clean as I cook. So yeah, I ended up using half of the spinach that I had, but I'll show you later. The next thing we're gonna do is clean and dice our onion. So you start by peeling the skin. I like to remove the first layer. You know what I mean? Let me show you. That first layer, that's kind of hard. I feel like when I cook it with it, it's kind of hard for me to chew on it. If you don't want to remove it, that's up to you, but personally I like it gone, so do whatever you want. Anyway, so just remove the skin, and as you can see, I'm cleaning as I'm doing this because I don't need a whole mess to be waiting for me when I'm done. I was meal prepping here, and when I'm done cooking, I am done. I just want to go to bed, so it makes the cleanup process easier for me. So dicing an onion is actually really easy. You just make vertical lines and then horizontal lines, and you just you can see for yourself. However, do whatever's easier for you. There's more than one way to cut an onion. Some people like bigger pieces in their pasta. Some people like very small, like much smaller than that pieces. Do what works for you. It's your food. There's not one way to cook something. Just always do whatever works for you. Be safe, of course, but do what works for you, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be eating the food. The water came to a boil, so let's add our pasta. The box will tell you exactly how long to cook it for, so just take a note of the time. You're going to stir with your spoon so the pasta pieces don't all stick together. And while your pasta is cooking, this is the time to finish prepping the other ingredients. I am done with the onions, and now we need to open the tuna cans. Now, I could not find my can opener, so I'm going to improvise here. I grew up in Haiti, so I know how to open a can without a can opener. This is not the safest thing to do. I'm just used to it. If you're gonna try this, please be safe because this thing is sharp. It can cut your fingers. If you have a can opener, please use that instead. If not, if you can't do this, feel free to do it. While you're doing this, remember to keep an eye on the time. So it's almost time for the pasta to be al dente, so I'm just going to stir a little bit. Then we're going to turn the heat down to a medium, and then you're going to strain your pasta using your strainer and your big bowl. Yeah, I kind of made a mess here, but you know, cooking's not perfect, things happen, so I'm just gonna grab the pieces and move on because it's no big deal. Now let's make the pasta sauce. We're gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of butter in the pot. Yes, the same pot. We're keeping this simple. We're gonna let it melt, and since we're using the same burner, it's not gonna take long. And then you're gonna add your onions and just stir to get it all over the pot. That way you can really it can really soak the butter. And I like to cover the pot to let them cook for a minute or two, because when you remove that lid, the kitchen will smell so freaking good. Don't say I didn't tell you. Now we're gonna add the tuna and cook it to your liking. It was kind of hard for me to grab it with the wooden spoon, so I'm just using a smaller one. Yeah, cook it for a couple minutes and then you can taste the piece and see if it's to your liking. I'm not gonna tell you how long to cook it for because people have different taste buds, okay? And then you're gonna add 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of butter again and just stir. Then you're gonna grab about 1/4 cup of pasta water. Actually, I'm gonna add 1/2 cup here to do my base for the sauce. Then I'm gonna add my marinara sauce. I need to buy a new one because this is the last bit of it. Just to make sure I grab everything from it, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water and shake it, shake, and yeah, just add that in there. And you're gonna stir. See how it's starting to have some color. It's gonna taste really good. So just make sure you stir everything with your spoon. Look at that. The sauce is starting to come together. All right, let's add some heavy cream. Yeah, you need to shake that as well before you use it. And you can add from 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of heavy cream, depending on how creamy you want it. If you want to add more marinara, less heavy cream, more heavy cream, less marinara, it's up to you. Now I'm just gonna taste it to see how much seasoning I'm gonna add. Now this is where I want you to start practicing seasoning for your own taste. Just add a little bit, taste as you go, and see what you like. Okay, over time you'll get good at just seasoning without measuring. If you want measurements, I'll try to add some in the description box below, but I highly recommend you try this. Now let's add the spinach. So you're gonna add little by little and you're gonna stir. Spinach, although it looks like a lot, when you cook it, it just disappears in the food. You're like, where did all the spinach go? But you don't want to add all of it at once. You want to add a little bit, make sure you stir and mix it with the sauce and cook it for a little bit. Then you add more. If you see that the amount you added, you're satisfied with it, just stop there. If you want to add more, feel free to do that. I ended up using half the spinach that I cut. I put the rest in a Ziploc bag and put it in the fridge for to use for something else. But yeah, I didn't know it was going to be that much. So I would say 1 bunch is enough for this recipe. And if you don't want to see the big pieces of spinach, what some people will do is that they'll put it in the grinder or blender and just make the pieces much smaller. So you can do that as well. Personally, I like seeing the green leaves because, you know, it makes me feel like I'm eating healthy. This is what the sauce is looking like so far with my stove light on. Yeah, I thought I'd show you. Some people like to rinse their pasta underwater. I'm not gonna do that because I don't feel like it today, but you can if you want to, especially if you put a lot of salt in the boiling water at the beginning. It's recommended to rinse it, but if you don't want to, it's not that big of a deal. At that point, all you have to do is stir and make sure that all the pasta is covered with the sauce. Make sure that you distribute the spinach. I know it's kind of hard because they tend to stick together, but try your best, okay? Time to add some cheese. I'm using this fat-free mozzarella cheese from Kraft, but use whatever cheese you like. This is just what I've been eating because that's my current diet, but yeah, it still tastes good. Even though it's fat-free, it still tastes pretty good and it still makes the pasta cheesy. So I burned myself here, but you know, accidents like that happen in the kitchen. Look at that. Look at that. I'm happy with the result. So turn off your stove and I'm putting some in a bowl because we're gonna do a little taste test together. But can we just admire how pretty she looks? I mean, look at that. Anyways, this is me after 3 hours in the kitchen, but cheers. Here's my little happy dance. That's how you know I like the food, but hope you enjoyed.